Jingai proudly said, "If you don't follow the rules, we should destroy it. Don't give me garbage like that." Young Jones's face was as gray as death, and he knew that his way of doing things was not a little bit different from that of Jingai. He destroyed his treasure in one blow, but he didn't even have the power to fight back. Glancing at the jade slips on the ground, young Jones gritted his teeth and said, "It's me who is low-minded and inferior humans." After speaking, he didn't even pick up the jade slips on the ground, and left with a black face. And seeing this scene, the expressions of all the people present changed. Jingai was unfathomable. People who were still confident just now hesitated. Tai Lai also frowned and asked Guo Ming in a low voice. Immediately afterward, Tai Lai stood up, waved his hand bitterly, and said, "What can I do for such a boring banquet? Goodbye, everyone." After that, he took Guo Ming and walked out. Suddenly 4 strong men in black jumped out from the left and right, blocking the way. Tai Lai angrily said, "What are you doing? Mr. Guo Ming, why bother to leave now that you are here?" Jingai stepped forward and smiled slightly. "My banquet is not a place where you want to come or leave at your will. If you want to go now, isn't it a violation of the rules?" Tai Lai snorted coldly, "I am not a member of your metaphysics. It is not my business if you choose the leader yourself." Jingai snorted coldly, "If you want to go, you can save things and consider me to be worthy of your respect." Tai Lai was also a man with a face anyway, and was furious by Jinghai's words and said, "What do you mean? Mr. Tai Lai, let me see." Guo Ming said in a deep voice, stepping forward and reprimanding, "If you dare to stop, it's no wonder that I am ruthless." Seeing Guo Ming was about to make a move, everyone present cheered. "Mr. Guo Ming, let this stinky Taoist priest from Hong Kong City taste the greatness of our Nongguang. An outsider wants to unify the Nongguang Academy, and he talks about dreams. Fight him back. Nongguang can't tolerate him in the wild." Jingai smiled coldly and said, "If you are not convinced, you can try it." Guo Ming was furious, and struck Jingai with a punch. This punch was powerful, and obviously Guo Ming was not an ordinary person. "Just rely on you?" Everyone only felt that there was a flower in front of them, and Jingai had already swayed in front of Guo Ming, stretched out his hand and stuck a yellow symbol on his forehead. "Fast posture," Warnya said in surprise. And Guo Ming was stiff as if he had been hit by a holding spell, only his eyes could turn around, revealing a panic. Jingai calmed down, smiled slightly, and suddenly scolded, "Get down!" Thump! As if he heard the order, Guo Ming suddenly fell on the ground, on all fours. "Mr. Guo Ming!" Tai Lai took a breath and screamed quickly. The surrounding crowd looked at each other, all in shock. With just such a trick, Guo Ming didn't even have room to resist. How powerful is this? Guo Ming lay on the ground, extremely annoyed, but his body didn't listen at all, and his mouth angrily said, "Old dog. What kind of sorcerer are you? Just your 3-legged cat skills, and still have the face to challenge me?" Mr. Jingai sneered sarcastically, and suddenly scolded, "Tell me how a dog barks." Guo Ming was shocked, and quickly wanted to shut up. But his mouth did not shut, even his vocal cords could not be controlled, and there was a dry, barking sound from his mouth. Tai Lai was shocked and almost fell over with a shake. Guo Ming is over 60 years old, but now lies in front of Master Jingai like a dog, learning how to bark vaguely. It was originally a funny scene, but there was a dead silence inside. The crowd was horrified, and there was a burst of fear on their backs. Jingai actually defeated 2 masters in a row in less than 10 minutes. How powerful is this? Puppet technique. This is the Shangxi puppet technique that has long since been lost. Fungi Bao murmured, his expression in shock. After he finished speaking, a cold breath suddenly sounded in the field. The puppet technique was passed down from Shangxi. It was originally a secret technique passed down from the ancestors of the corpse chaser, but it has now been lost. Unexpectedly, they would be able to witness it with their own eyes. This is enough to show that Jinghai's Taoism is unpredictable, and the people here cannot match it. Guo Ming was still lying on the ground, his face flushed with embarrassment, but he couldn't control it at all, and he even wanted to die. Jingai waved his hand, and Guo Ming suddenly became soft and collapsed directly on the ground, extremely ashamed. "What, Mr. Guo Ming, are you convinced?" Solman laughed. Guo Ming gritted his teeth, blood oozing between his teeth, and murmured bitterly, "I'm taken." Seeing Guo Ming bowed his head to admit defeat, the whole yard was silent, and no one dared to say anything again. And then, Jingai turned his head to look at Charlie, and said, "Snatched my clam's treasure that day. Today you see my magical powers, do you dare to be arrogant?" Charlie shrugged and said, "Just your 2 strokes, are you counting?" Warnya hurriedly grabbed Charlie, and said in a low voice, "Now let's be soft here. Jingai does have some skills. Don't lose your life for indifferent dignity." Jingai sneered and said, "You are young and ignorant, I ask you, how dare you compare me with yourself? If you lose, return the clams back to me and apologize to me on your knees." Charlie smiled lightly and said, "Competition? What makes you think you worthy of me?"